The cop who killed a deacon of a church over a traffic ticket, he's been fired. Obviously, the family is outraged after they saw the video. And according to their interview with us at Indisputable, the daughter said, and the attorney, what they saw was murder. Let me remind you of the daughter's sentiment after her father, Mr. Hollman, was killed by an Atlanta police officer. Here it is.
And I feel like this officer, he needs to be prosecuted. I feel like he needs to be off the force and terminated. And I feel like the world needs to see what he did to my daddy. To me, it's just clear-cut murder. I mean, I don't know no other way to see it. And then for my dad to have to beg for help or to beg for his life over a traffic ticket, senseless.
Senseless indeed. Put up the picture of the officer. This individual, according to the attorney who represents the family, decided to engage in such extreme behavior, even though Mr. Hollman was actually being compliant. This person engaged in criminal activity, according to the attorney. The Atlanta Police Chief Darin Schierbaum on Tuesday fired this guy. His name is Officer Kiran Kimbrough, who shot to death a 62-year-old black church deacon with a stun gun during a dispute over a traffic ticket leading to his death. The chief stated that Officer Kimbrough did not follow department procedures August 10th when he did not wait until a supervisor arrived to arrest Mr. Johnny Hollman Sr. The chief said he decided to fire Kimbrough after an internal investigation concluded on Monday. Let's put up the man he killed again. Mr. Hollman was simply going to grab something to eat and was killed because of a traffic ticket that is no longer even an arrestable offense in the city of Atlanta. The chief said, and I quote, "Part of my job is to assess, evaluate, and adjust how this police department is carrying out its sworn mission to serve and protect the citizens of this city." Schierbaum said in a statement, quote, "I understand the difficult and dangerous job that our officers do each and every day throughout the city. I do not arrive at these decisions lightly." Schierbaum's decision comes days before a video that Kimbrough's body camera recorded of his interactions with Mr. Hollman could be released. So Attorney Davis, a lawyer for the family, said Monday that the Fulton County DA Fonnie Willis told him and relatives during a meeting that the video would be publicly released as soon as Willis concludes that all witnesses have been interviewed. That could be as soon as Thursday. Now, I want you to follow the timeline here. We've been covering this story since day one on Indisputable. Remember, the police report said Mr. Hollman was aggressive. Mr. Hollman was out of control. I had no choice, according to the officer, but to tase him to death. The police department backed the initial narrative. And then the daughter said, "Not so fast. I was on the phone with my father while he was being killed. He was literally saying I will sign the ticket." And then Attorney Davis provides advocacy for the family so that they are able to review the footage privately. They then come to Indisputable. They tell us what they saw in the footage was murder, and the city will not release the video because they know how damning it is. During this entire process, the officer who did it is still employed. He does not become an unemployed member of law enforcement until the district attorney says she's going to release the video herself. All of a sudden, the chief fires Kimbrough. There's more. Kimbrough had been on administrative leave. His attorney, Lance LaRusso, said in a statement Tuesday that Officer Kimbrough denies any wrongdoing or policy violations and plans to appeal his firing. Quote, our client is a decorated law enforcement officer and looks forward to the release of the entire investigation. The loss of any life is tragic. However, Officer Kimbrough's actions in detaining Mr. Hollman and making a lawful arrest did not cause Mr. Hollman's death, end quote. Now, that statement is factually untrue. The government coroner, the medical examiner, they have concluded that Officer Kimbrough did, in fact, cause the death of Mr. Hollman. They have ruled the death a homicide. Initially, they were trying to say he simply had a heart attack and the death was not the fault of the officer. That is not what the government has concluded. There's more. Relatives of Hollman have seen the video and contend Officer Kimbrough should be charged with murder. The daughter, Arnitra Hollman, who was on the program, said at a Tuesday news conference that the family is far from satisfied with Kimbrough's firing. This is not the end. We've got to keep fighting. We've got to keep pushing. We've got to keep going, Ms. Hollman said, because this is just one of the things that we wanted, which was determination, but this is not all that we're looking for. We want justice. And we want justice now for our father. We want justice for your father as well. Now, I must submit this to everybody watching. There's a policy dynamic that has to be addressed. The officer obviously acted in an extreme manner that caused the death of another human being. The police department has at least concluded that, even if they will not criminally charge. I do believe he will get a charge from the DA's office. I do believe that. Now, why was he able, why did he have the authority to detain Mr. Hollman for a simple traffic violation? Now, remember what was on the report. The police report said he detained Mr. Hollman because Mr. Hollman did not want to sign this simple ass ticket. Mr. Hollman requested a supervisor, which is something in Atlanta we are told to do if we do not trust the process. He requests a supervisor. Obviously, the officer violated that as well because the chief of police cited that's the reason he fired him for not following the procedure. So Mr. Hollman knew the law. He knew the policy. He knew the procedure. And this officer decided to act in a way contrary to the rules that he is governed by. So now that policy of not signing the ticket is no more in the city of Atlanta. If you choose not to sign a ticket, guess what the officer can do? The officer now can just check a box that says refuse to sign ticket, and you move on with your day, and that officer moves on with their day. The fact that we would even have a policy to say a minor traffic ticket is going to land you in jail today and turn your life upside down. As soon as a human being is dead because of that insane policy, all of a sudden the politicians on council vote, the administration, they're able to see the light, policy transform because a man is dead. All right. We'll follow this story as it continues to develop. Jackson, thoughts here?
Well, at very least, at the bare minimum, you'd think that he should get manslaughter. And this really would be low-hanging fruit, too. I think you're right that he's likely to get a charge because this really would be a win for the police department to charge him with murder. Tasing an elderly man for a traffic stop doesn't look good for anybody. On top of the fact that, let's put this in a different situation. Oh, well, before I go there, not only did he end up dead, but this is a police officer. He's not just some random civilian. Right. So he has to be held to a standard, which again, is low-hanging fruit for everybody. But also, put this in a different scenario. Let's say you're fighting in a club. Let's say both of you were, being rowdy. Someone ends up dead. Someone's dead. Like, you can't be like, oh, my bad, I didn't mean to. They're still dead. Like you got to pay a price for that, at least with some years.
Yep.
So you put that in another situation. It's. I mean, what are we talking about? Somebody gets hit upside the head with something. They dead. They're dead. So this is a pretty open and shut. Unfortunately, it's not always that simple, but hopefully he can get charged because it's pretty clear.
Yeah, and the rule is real simple. When you engage in action where you knew or should have known that it could have caused serious injury or death, then that's it. That's all it requires. It doesn't matter that you get lucky sometimes and the person doesn't die. What matters is you knew the engagement of you deciding to use a taser over and over again on an elderly man could kill him. You knew that.